All right. Okay. So there's a few things I'm going to address because there was just first off, there's the Spider-Man news. I want to talk about that, and there's the recent announcement of the D23 stuff. So let's talk about Spider-Man. Okay. So this is all off the top of my head, what I'm going to say, so bear with me. If I get anything wrong, call me out in the chat. The news broke out this past week, and Deadline was the one that broke this, that apparently communications have fallen through and that Sony and Disney are no longer leasing Spider-Man. They're not allowing the lease to happen, which is basically what's been going on, and child custody rights have been taken away from Marvel. So it apparently went down something like this. Disney was the one that approached Sony to negotiate the trade deal. That this is what we want. Originally, what happened a few years ago was that Disney was getting a 5% share on opening day sales, which really is pennies when you think about it. But it's Disney; they could take the fucking hit. It's not a big deal for them. On top of that, Disney was also getting all the money from the merchandising. That's really where they were making their money off of this, because that Spider-Man toys, Spider-Man shirts, all that stuff, that shit sells. It always will, it sells. Like people love Spider-Man. Like, he's insanely marketable. So after that, we fast forward a few years, a couple of movies, and we are at this point right now. Disney comes up to Sony, like the mob motherfuckers that they are, because that's what they are. They're the mob bosses at this point of Hollywood. And they say, we want a 50% share on everything. We want 50%. That is our cut that we want. Sony says, fuck you. We're going to take our ball, our Spider-Man, and we're going home. I think there's a lot more going on here. And of course, this is all pure speculation. I'm not that type of person to have inside sources or claim to be an expert on any of this shit. I think what ended up happening is a couple of things. First, you have Sony that they are riding high off of Venom. Venom was a box office hit. Mediocre film. I didn't care for it. If you did, cool. But it was a box office hit. I think Venom broke $1 billion, didn't it? Or it got really fucking close to $1 billion, if I'm not mistaken. Sony's riding high off of that. They're smelling their piss, whatever. On top of that, they've got Spider-Verse, and they've got Lord and Miller. Spider-Verse wasn't really a box office hit. It wasn't huge, but it's acclaimed, and it has since found a home on home video, on the marketplace. And the thing is, they probably realize, okay, are we really going to split 50% of this with the MCU, or are we going to take the gamble, continue doing Spider-Man films with Tom Holland and with the current director, and we just really won't say anything about the MCU? Because, let's face facts, the general movie-going audience probably doesn't know won't realize that much of a difference. Like my mom, she'll go see a Spider-Man movie, she's not going to care that Peter Parker is in the MCU or not. Yes, that's a big deal for people my generation and younger and stuff like that. But I think you guys are overestimating a huge part of the general movie-going audience. I think a huge part of the general movie-going audience, one, isn't going to realize what's going on. Two, isn't going to care. They can also take this and because remember guys, they can also take this and they can make a Venom Spider-Man crossover movie. They were trying to make their own little Spider-Man universe thing for the longest fucking time. For years. Before Tom Holland, before, with Andrew Garfield and stuff, they wanted to do the Sinister Six, they wanted to do the bullshit Aunt May movie for a long time. That never got off the ground though. Thank God. So what they're doing now is that they want to do their own Spider-Man universe. So my guess and I'm gonna get to the Disney side of this in a minute. My guess of this is that they are going to fast track, because we know Venom 2's got a director. We know a few things. We know Venom 2 has a director. It's Andy Serkis, and we know for a fact, because it's been confirmed by multiple outlets, Tom Holland did film a scene for Venom 1, but it got cut out at the last minute because Marvel didn't want it in there. So, would not surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if in the next Venom film we get a post-credit scene for Spider-Man in there. And the thing that sucks is it sucks for Tom Holland, because you gotta know the guy must have loved working on those MCU films. And he's stuck in a contract for 2 years. Now, there's multiple sources that are saying, for 2 films, not 2 years. There's multiple sources saying that Tom Holland, he has an out. He can totally walk out if he totally wants to. He can back out of the Spider-Man films. We don't know that for sure. We don't know. That's what rumors are around right now. Now, here's the thing on the Marvel side of things. I don't really have a horse in this race. And I'll say why in a minute. I don't have a horse in this race because of the fact that I enjoyed the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. They're fun. I think Spider-Man Far From Home is the best Spider-Man film, not animated, since Spider-Man 2 for me. I liked Spider-Man Homecoming. I like Spider-Man Far From Home. And I've seen Spider-Man Far From Home twice, and I liked it more the second time than the first time. To me, Spider-Verse, for me, is bigger, for me, in terms of what I want to see, than the MCU Spider-Man films. They have Lord and Miller working on these projects. Lord and Miller are 2 of the most amazing fucking directors working in Hollywood. They pull ass pulls out of nowhere. Like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Who would have thought that would have been such a great movie? Fucking 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street. Who would have thought that 22 Jump Street and a 21 Jump Street would be so damn good? Who would have honestly thought that? Like, if you had announced that today, I'd be like, that's a horrible idea. But they pulled it off. You know? And they also did work on Spider-Verse. So for me, if I am Sony, I would look at my cards on the table, and I don't think negotiations are done yet. I really don't. I think that negotiations will still be ongoing for a while. And I think there's way too much money to be left on the table, and I personally think that they'll come to some conclusion in the next few months. For me, I'm Sony, I'm looking at all the cards on the table. I see I've got Venom, I've got the Spider-Verse films, which we know they're hits already. What can we do with them? And we've got Spider-Man now. 100% we've got Spider-Man. I'm sure Lord and Miller, they're probably working on pre-production right now for the next Spider-Verse film or the Spider-Gwen film. I would fast-track a Spider-Man film directed by those 2 so fucking fast, it would make your head spin. Like, 100%. I would have been, if I was Sony, I would have called those motherfuckers up the minute the negotiations would have fell through and be like, okay, how bad do you guys want to do a Spider-Man film? And we give you free reign to do whatever you want. Easy. Easy. This is what's going on right now. This is the state that we're in right now. What do you want to do with Spider-Man? Because those are the 2 guys that they are able to take a real bad concept or a real bad situation and make it fucking gold. So on the side of Marvel, it sucks because I was really curious to see where the Spider-Man stuff is going to go going forward. I was really, really excited to see that. But, you know, at the same time, it doesn't look like that might happen. I think the negotiations will still keep ongoing. There's way too much money to be lost here. And the fact that there'll be a huge, huge hole going forward for Sony Spider-Man-wise. Because he is so intrinsically tied right now to the MCU, especially after the last film. You've got Happy Hogan. You've got, you know, the relationship that he had with Iron Man. I just don't see there not being a huge hole left behind if they do decide to go through and it completely falls through. Yeah, Charlie Rogers. Let me see. I could actually put this up there. I always forget to do this. Supposedly rumors are they've already worked out a new deal for Spidey and the MCU. There's been so many fucking rumors going on over the past 72 hours, over the past 3 days that all this has been released. There's been rumors saying that they're still working on a deal. There's been, negotiations going on. There was even a photo with Tom Holland apparently with Robert Downey Jr. saying, hey, with Tom Holland with like a photo with Robert Downey Jr. where they were saying in the photo, we did it, Mr. Stark, and they're holding action figures. So who knows? Who knows? They might have worked it out. By the time we finish this live stream, they're doing D23 right now, and they're making a bunch of announcements right now. They could have just said, yeah, we've reached an agreement, I think there's way too much money to be left on the table, and, that's my 2 cents. I also have to give Sony the credit for the balls it must have took to say to Disney, fuck you, we're going our own way. We're not going to take this 50% deal. Like, that is way too much. Look, whether we like it or not, Disney owns like 40% of Hollywood at this point. It is ridiculous. It's a monopoly. Let's call it what it fucking is. Disney at this point is pretty much a monopoly in terms of entertainment. Like, it really is. And Sony isn't in the best place right now to negotiate film-wise. For them to have the balls to say that, I will give them credit in that area. As somebody that was a little bit disappointed with the Disney-Fox merger, because I kept thinking, well, what did we lose? What did we just lose by Disney and Fox merging together? We just lost basically films that we would have never gotten, and potential films that we will never get. We would have never gotten a Logan. There's no fucking way in hell Disney would have given us a Logan film. Wouldn't have done it. Would not have done it. We would have probably gotten an R-rated Deadpool. They probably wouldn't have done that. So, I applaud Sony in a lot of ways, but at the same time, if they do go this route, it's gonna suck, and I really hope they don't fuck it up. All right, so those are my thoughts on that. Let's just kind of move on right now. Let's kind of see. We got a few more questions. So taking such a big chunk of it's very greedy. It's very greedy, and Disney knows they have such a huge monopoly on the film industry that they can push their weight around, They can totally push their weight around if they want to.
Guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. This is actually part of a longer discussion that I have on Fridays when I do my Q&A. If you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing, hit that little bell icon down below, and of course there is the Patreon found in the description. If you help me out, I would really greatly appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook. I love you, and I'll speak with you soon. Bye.